My work is based on one of the important medicinal plant in Nepal, that is the Taxus wallichiana, and I have tried to see the effects of land use and climate change in this species, which is very important in rural parts or the remote areas in Nepal. So as you know, as you have understood in recent days and also in different years, that Nepal is very rich in the biodiversity, including the tree species, which is one of the most important part for the life of rural areas people. And wood is also very important for their livelihood. They use it in daily works and other different purposes. And there are different factors that is affecting the wood related with the taxes, and I have tried to see those effects, although this is relatively a subjective type of the study. This is the study species Taxus wallichiana. There are two naturally occurring species of the taxus in Nepal. You can divide Nepal into three parts. It's the western, central, and the eastern Nepal. So you find two distinctly distinguishable species of taxus in Nepal. That is the Taxus contorta in the western Nepal, and towards the eastern Nepal, from the central Nepal, you find the Taxus wallichiana. There is also one report of Taxus marie in few places in Nepal, but it is endemic in China, and it is supposed that here it is cultivated. So my focus is on the Taxus wallichiana. So it is the study species, and it is distributed from 2200 meters up to 3400 meter and 3450 meters. That's the distribution range of this species, and we have not found any of these species growing naturally below that altitudinal range or above that altitudinal range. As you know, that taxus is long-lived, the IOCS plant. It's very difficult to separate the species when there is no flowering, whether that's the male or the female. And in Nepal, it is understood by different local names in different places. So in one of our sites, it is known as a Lord Salla, and in another site, it's known as a Dangre Sal. Dangre Salla, it's not Sal, it's Dangre Salla. So main objective of this study is to see what are the different effects of land use types. When they change the different land use types, how the taxus is affected. Similarly, we also try to see different effects of the climate on the distribution of this species, which is very, very important in context of Nepal. We selected three different regions based on the precipitation. They're differing in the precipitation. We selected three different regions. As you see in the map of Nepal, that's the western part where we find another species, Taxus contorta, followed by this Taxus wallichiana from the center towards the eastern part. And the first valley selected is the Numri Valley, which is in the central part, followed by Dudkunda Valley, which is in the Sagarmatha or the Mount Everest region, followed by the third valley, which is far eastern, that is the Taplejung district of Nepal, Gunsa Valley. These three differ in precipitation, and precipitation data shows that Gunsa is having more precipitation as compared with the central one, Numri Valley. So these are the different sites, and we have standard sampling designs. We started collecting from 2200 meters with a difference of 200 meters up to 3800 meters. We didn't know at first whether it occurred above 3500 meters or not, so we made that altitudinal range. But later on we found different results. We'll show that later. And we also were focused on not only the trails for sampling the Taxus wallichiana. So we also climbed vertically up from each altitude up to the maximum altitude where it occurred to try to find out the natural populations which are hidden in those areas. This is one of our sites, the Numri Valley, the first one, central. It is located in Gorkha district, and very famous. You can see at the background there is part of the mountain which is Mountain Manaslu. So it is a gateway to the Mount Manaslu. So this was one of the sites selected. Next one was the Dudkunda Valley. It is in the Mount Everest region, and it is the very important place. The trail, if you want to walk from Kathmandu, not from Kathmandu, if you want to walk and go to the Mount Everest, then this is one of the trail towards the Lukla and the Mount Everest. So this was selected as a second site. And the third is also related with the mountain. This valley, this Gunsa Valley, is also rich in biodiversity, and it leads to the Mount Kanchenjunga. It is also in one of the conservation areas. For data analysis, we use different softwares. We use different data, including our data as well as the data from the world team. We use Maxent for designing climate change scenario in Nepal, and also we use the female populations coordinates so that it could be used to locate whether those populations will be affected or not. And maps were designed in the certain softwares. These are some of the field activities. During the field work, we collected the specimens and deposited submitted in the National Herbarium and Plant Laboratory, which is one of the finest laboratory in Nepal for the herbarium specimens. Similarly, we also try to see different seeds falling just below the female trees, whether they are regenerating or not. That is also one of the important part in these rural areas, because people collect the whole fallen leaves and use in different ways in their agricultural land and other different sites. So we use that also, and we had very extensive field work, because it's necessary to drive that field works from the trails towards the natural field, so that we can easily understand how this Taxus wallichiana is really affected by different things. This is the part of the result. So we found the Taxus wallichiana growing in the crop fields. That's interesting feature that we found, because people are so dependent on the Taxus wallichiana wood, as it is very durable, that they can use part of the wood for making agricultural tools and other different purpose. So we found that in one of the land use types that we selected, crop field. Then in also the meadow. In meadow also we found so many Taxus population. This is one example. And we found that Taxus growing in the meadow because of either falling of the trees in the natural forest, bringing that to the nearby meadow, and then harvesting it leads some of the seeds on the ground and they grow. So we found trees on the meadow also, and also animal mediated migration also occurred in the meadow. Similarly, there are so many natural forests that are being exploited, especially in one of our sites that we'll see later. And we found that trees in the exploited forest also. In the natural forest also, we found so many old trees of the Taxus wallichiana, especially in one of the central eastern study site, that's the gateway to the Sagarmatha, that's Dudhkunda Valley. We found so many trees, and the local peoples are very much concerned for the protection of those trees, because they are using in their daily life, that we'll see later. This is the chart showing, you can see that the red one, the larger one, which is the exploited part, that means the tree is, the Taxus wallichiana is more exploited in the Numri Valley. That's the first valley, which is in the central Nepal, followed by Dudhkunda and Gunsa Valley. Relatively less exploited, maybe because of high tourist flow, and they don't have to depend much on those Taxus wallichiana population. So in the first valley, people were used to collect the leaves, and they fall entire trees. Instead of collecting the leaves, they cut down whole tree. That lead to the exploitation of whole natural forest. So that we found in the first valley. And when they couldn't sell the leaves of the Taxus wallichiana, they used that as a bedding of the animals. So they didn't know other uses of the Taxus. They didn't have much of the use of the Taxus. Besides that, when they have some excess wood of the Taxus, they used to make fence to protect the crop fields in their valleys. So this is some destructions showing in this chart also. And also in Dudhkunda Valley, we found so many crop fields with cultivated Taxus plants. So this is one of the Numri Valley, the first site that we have seen in the central Nepal. You can see in the first photograph, and on the left hand side top, that's the local trader showing us the fence of the Taxus wallichiana wood. So they are making the fence because it is very durable. So they use that fence, so they don't have to change it when that decay. So it takes so long time to decay. You can see it in Manasulu region, that's in the Numri Valley also you can see that landslide is affecting the natural population, and people are also wasting so many leaves and other branches of the trees in that valley. This is the second one valley which is in the eastern region, gateway to the Sagarmatha, Dudhkunda Valley. You can see in the figures that one of the hotel is whole entirely made from the Texas wood, followed by the top bottom photograph showing the tap made from the Texas wood. The local made that tap long before because it doesn't decay and it lasts for so long period of time. You can also see the table on the left hand side bottom, that is also made from the Texas wood. And people are not only exploiting the forest, but they are also trying to cultivate, collecting the seeds from the forest and bringing that into their crop field. They also tried because the seed germination rate is very slow, and what they have been doing nowadays is cutting the stem twigs and then growing it into their own garden so that they can use for it. And this is the third valley, which is in the far eastern region of Nepal. People are less dependent on the wood of this taxus, and there are some population of the taxus volcano and natural populations. And the main problem in this region is because of the landslide. The landslide is causing the loss of natural population in this region, and people are also cutting down the natural forest in this region, followed by the seeds. You can see in the right hand side top, the seeds are eaten by the rodents as well as other animals. So germination rate is very low in this region. So you find very less population as compared with the others. This is related with the climate change. We try to see different bioclimatic variables and their relationship with this distribution of the taxus, and we found that temperature as well as precipitation is contributing a lot in the distribution of the taxus. And this is the present model based on different climatic data with the GPS point of female population as well as from the herbarium records. We find that more area of coverage of the taxus as compared to the future model. In future model, we have reduced area of the coverage of the taxus volcano based on those climatic variables. We also try to see what will be the scene after we have the climate change scenario. And we found that there are some places which will be hard hit by the climate change, followed by some new sites of the taxus volcano. The green one, very few sites are supposed to have more population of the taxus. We also try to validate that in the ground, and we visited that place and found that there are really new populations. So this model can be used for locating the new population of the taxus, and this model will also be very useful later on when we want to grow or cultivate. We initiate the cultivation of the taxus volcano in different remote places where people can depend on the wood of this tree and use it in different ways. So these are my conclusions. The population of the taxus is very scattered, isolated and small. We found during our study in these three valleys, altitudinal range little bit higher, 2300 meters to the maximum that was already shown. And forest, natural forest is being exploited for the livelihood of the people, and they are changing the natural forest to the exploited and then again changing that to the agricultural land so that they can sustain the life. And the future climate model shows shifting of the population of the natural population of the taxus volcano towards the north, and there are also new localities of the taxus. And this is the recommendation. These are some selected references, and I acknowledge everyone and thank you for listening, and thank you very much for this World Wood Day for giving me opportunity to present my work. Thank you so much.